it hit me. I'm like, this business is never going to grow if I stay in it and not on it. And so I ended up talking to my number two at the time and going, we have to back out. We have to literally entrust our people to do this. We have to be true leaders. And so uncomfortable at first, right?
The trucking industry is crazy right now, and being a broker can be stressful. Managing your invoices, billing, collecting, carrier base, and cash flow can feel like an impossible task. But I can tell you, OTR Solutions has figured out the impossible. They eliminate cash flow problems for carrier payments and ensure margin funding in just 24 hours with broker invoice factoring. OTR Solutions takes care of billing and collection processes with your shippers. And with lightning quick and accurate invoicing, your customers will never need another broker to handle their freight needs. Kick back, relax, and let OTR take care of your brokerage. If you want to know more, and I hope you do, check them out at otrsolutions.com/freight-caviar to see what they can do for your business. Or give them a call. They love to talk to brokers at 770-882-0124. We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. It's the ultimate tool for all your freight needs. You can use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. It only takes 20 seconds to sign up and no credit card is required. You can click the link below to learn more.
Hi guys, sorry I'm late. I am on vacation.
Oh, really? Where are you?
I'm in Gulf Shores, Alabama. So my husband's family does this every 2 years. They bring everybody in.
Okay.
So it was just holy cow. I have to get up and get ready. So I'm really sorry about that.
No worries, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. It's actually funny. We're just talking about with Bob because we're both business owners, and I was on vacation last week, and I told them how like when I worked for someone and I would go on vacation, it was the most relaxing thing. But now when I go on vacation, I just keep thinking about all the problems that I have to resolve or the emails I have to send and things I have to do. And it's not relaxing at all. I'm feeling more relaxed being by my computer and working. And Bob was saying the same because we're still not at the place where we could leave and let someone else handle problems.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. I was there. I mean, I was in dispatch at 1 o'clock in the morning back in the day here at Candor. So I get it. Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning, huh?
Delivering loads, like doing all that. I mean, I love looking at the old on-call calendar because it's like Nicole, Jacob, Nicole. So I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's interesting because I saw that you were the president of Candor Freight Management, which so back in January of 2017, they gave me a job offer, and I was literally about to sign the paperwork. And then Everest gave me a better offer with better pay, like better benefits and everything. And so I ended up signing with Everest. And I remember it was just funny because I went through CS Recruiting, and like K&L had everything set up, and then I ended up going to Everest. So that's just a little fun.
It's all Nicole's fault. You could have just called her up, be like, "Yo, I need more pay." She would have been like, "Okay, we got you."
I wasn't there. I left by then. I left in I think it was the beginning of 2016. I left.
Yeah. I saw that on LinkedIn. And then I remember when I was working at Everest, I think I spoke to you on the phone because or Jake from Everest, right? Or at least you'd email. I think I would get emails all the time from Candor Expedite. So I would remember I think because those were the beginning days at Candor, and I would get emails. I'm pretty sure from you, Nicole, like all the time.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, all the time, and I would get it. So like it's just been. In my mind, though, I don't know, since like 2017, since I was working at Everest. If I'm not mistaken, I think you once called Everest just to see if they needed anything, or what was it? I think Jake told me to work just to figure it out. Like he just told me to figure things out all the time to see to get on a truck list and stuff like that. Or
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I was in it too. I still am. I mean, I do a bunch of stuff. I'm very sales driven, but back in the day, it was like we were going after brokers, freight forwarders. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't even know how I got connected with Jake. I don't know how that happened, but something happened, and then it was like, hey, can we do something for you guys? It was,
Sure.
you had to do whatever you had to do, when you're growing a business. You guys
Of
know
course.
that.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't actually understand that because I'm from the trucking side. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Like, what do you mean by reaching out? Like to get some of their business or to kind of co-broker or co-work with each other? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, we do work with some brokers and freight forwarders even today.
Uh-huh.
It would be to handle anything expedited. And then what I love to do is educate some of these brokerages or freight forwarders on really growing their portfolio. They already have a customer base. So it's like, hey, we can be an extension of you to tap and get some additional opportunities in this space. I don't think
Mhm.
that's for every brokerage or every co-brokerage. I don't think they should really exist. But whenever there's a service offering that maybe you don't touch, and you can go to your customers and say, hey, we now do this. If you have a fully trusted resource, then, and you let your customer know, like, hey, we've added on these additional companies to help us here. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So we've had a lot of brokerages grow and get into the white glove space and the expedited side. And I mean, we can't really do the air freight side of things for them, but
Yeah.
we can handle anything else. I mean, we do store rollout projects for a brokerage right now.
Oh, well.
Nicole, I'm just wondering if you could like define for our audience what essentially is expedited freight and what made you want to choose that route.
Well, expedited freight has been in my background. I've been in logistics for 23 years. And so when I first started, the gentleman I worked for, he would always go at 4 o'clock, do not pick up the phone. I got it. And I was like, what is the deal? I'm this 18-year-old kid, right? And I'm like, what is the deal with it? So at like 4 p.m., 5 p.m., some of these customers, we used to do newspaper inserts. So that shows you how old this is, right?
Oh, wow.
Would call. And, at that time, like that was his money source. Like you do your regular loads during the day, and then he would wait for those opportunities to like capitalize on his customers. And so that's kind of where I started understanding. Now, granted, this was back in the day when the DAT was a fax to you
Yeah.
during the day. So it was really who you knew. It was all relationship driven. And so there was no like post a load and cross your fingers and hope you find a team truck. I mean, you literally had to have contacts that could do this, right?
Yeah.
But I liked the excitement of that. I liked the chaos of that. And then K&L, when I started there, they were primarily an expedited company. So it was straight trucks, local straight trucks, sprinter vans, stuff like that. They didn't even do trailer work at the time when I started in 2008. And so that was something I had brought to the company because, again, they just had built this business on hotshot ground shipments. And so I really loved helping a customer find those solutions. I mean, I would get phone calls Saturday, Sunday, 10 p.m. Hey, I need a truck to go up to middle of nowhere, Ontario. And it was cool. It was really cool to actually help people establish what they needed to get done, and then come through. That's the most important part. So when I started Candor in 2017, the concept was truly that, like, how do we help people when they need it the most? And so started the business just with the expedited ground side of things. So it'd be, straight truck, sprinter van, and we helped a lot of the freight forwarding and brokerage network establish that. And then over time, it's like we've changed, we've morphed, and we'll go into that. But really, what expedite is I used to say it was time sensitive work, but now I just say it's sensitive work, right? So something that might not be time specific, but more of a time definite. There also is opportunities for shippers to consolidate. We see today, even in this day and age, one skid going on a trailer. I mean, I have Fortune 5, Fortune 1s shipping 1 to 5 pallets on the trailer. And so it's a way for them to technically get out of their routing guide, reduce their cost, and then just get bomb service. That's what we're trying to bring to the table. So again, sensitive, anything that is either crucial for your supply chain to get there or anything that you just can't trust out in an everyday network.
Hey there, amazing listeners. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on our podcast, we need your support. It will only take a moment, but it would mean the world to us. Please make sure to hit the like button on this video, Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to share with one of your friends that would enjoy our content. Your engagement helps us reach more people and bring more awesome episodes to you. Thanks a million, and thanks for being part of the podcast community.
So most expedited stuff is basically sprinter vans, straight trucks, hot shots, right? I'm guessing is there a lot of semi trucks that are involved, or like dry vans or reefers? Would that count as
There
expedited?
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. I mean, that does happen. It's about 30% of our business on the expedited side, but the straight truck and sprinter van side of things is in our expedited niche. So like I said, we've expanded. But in the beginning, it was truly just that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more of like, hey, I mean, it's a little bit different, I guess, than like, because we specialize in just dry vans, and it's super, I guess it's the most simple thing you can do, because there's a millions, or I don't know, hundreds of thousands of truckers that are dry vans. So it's pretty easy. You see a load, you book it, and then you just, cover it. But
Right.
with expedited, it's a little bit, I guess, different, because they kind of need it. It's a time sensitive thing. So they need to ship and figure out what it needs to go into, right? Because you need to figure out, I guess, how big the pallets are. Can it fit into a sprinter van? Can it fit into a dry van or a box truck? Like, you have to kind of know all that. So you have to be kind of more specialized.
You do. And we have
Yeah.
some clients that don't really know. So that's the whole concept of our team, is to provide the insight and ask the right questions to make it work. I mean, nothing is as terrible as showing up with an expedited shipment and then you have the wrong equipment and it doesn't fit, right? That's you're starting out your load like terribly. So we're going to ask all those questions. And then, some clients, they're just in the business to do the production part, and they need those shipping experts. So there's times we'll call a site contact and just go, hey, do you guys have a dock? Do you have a van ramp? What are the dimensions of this freight to make it work? Because that's just terrible when that happens.
Yeah. So the shippers kind of have to be on point, be like, this is what the dimensions are, and it's not really going to change. Because if you show up on a sprinter van and it doesn't fit, then you're kind
Same
of
with the dock doors.
Right.
Like a lot of shippers they have docks, and it's like you can't load a sprinter with a dock. You have to actually have one of the accesses. I'm not sure how you call it, Nicole. Where
it's like a ramp.
van ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you need that too. So it's.
So we're also a truck and hand company. So in the regular brokerage and trailer world, it's like, for a brokerage, you can say, hey, what are you able to do this for? And people know the market. I mean, hopefully most, I know we have a lot of brokerages and trucking companies that don't really understand the market, but with us, I mean, we have to be truck in hand. So it's really giving a client an actual piece of equipment that's ready to go. So those ETAs, those transit times, very, very important. And also setting the expectation. So that's where I think a lot of people go wrong. They'll just be a brokerage, deal with the dispatcher. And then there are times there's communication issues, right? And we don't know that a driver's plan to stop, and you can't really do that with an expedited load. So you have to speak to the driver or drivers, set the expectation, make sure that they're comfortable and aware, too, with what's going on. So they can go, yeah, I can do that. And then the communication piece is crucial, so it's making sure where the freight is at all times, having a driver willing and able to track, or communicate via text or whatever. So that way you can continually relay that to the customer.
Do you have, Nicole, like a crazy story of like an expedited shipping, like that went wrong because a driver decided to take a break, or just kind of like,
so many. I mean, I think back in the day, I'm going back to my K&L days. I had this shipment that was going for like a specialty McDonald's, like a brand new product. And I was so on pins and needles, because it was like one of those corporate loads where everybody is on it. You see like all the main people, high level corporate here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what happened. It was just like, that lamb chop show when we used to see when we were kids, this is the song that doesn't end. That was the load that never ended. It was like, can we just please get this load delivered? And I just, I would take it so personally and be internally devastated at times for
Yeah,
some of these loads, because you guys know you're as good as your last shipment, right? And as an
right.
expediter, that is even more crucial. There's no three strikes. It's, hey, you didn't come through and we can't use you anymore. And
Yeah.
that's our lifeline to our companies, to our families, and it just makes you have this additional level of stress and causes freight wrinkles and all the good things, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
with
definitely.
that carrier, did he just not deliver it on time, or was he falling behind, or what happened with it? Did they consolidate it?
I don't remember exactly, but I just remember the feeling I carried, just that
Oh, okay.
rogue, where someone goes rogue and you
Yeah.
can't get them. And, you're talking to a dispatcher and hey, he'll be there in 10 minutes. He'll be there in 10 minutes. And,
That
it's
10 minutes
just
ends
one
up
of
being
those.
3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the next day, it's like, oh, he had to stop. He got, out of hours and had to stop. We had no idea. It's a reset, a DOT reset,
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, we've had those woes. I've definitely had
Huh.
them in my career,
Definitely.
for sure. But
What,
it's
what,
working through that. And it's having that
of
relationship with
course,
your customer
communication
that
is like
you're
the,
always honest.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Making sure on top
That's
of
why I
it.
named Candor, because I've been in the industry already for 18 years when I started, or 17 years when I had started the business. And I was just done with the BS of it. I wanted it to be honest, so there's no, hey, our truck broke down, or we consider every load, even as a broker, as we have that truck. And so we communicate as openly as we can to our carriers, to our drivers that we're working with, and to our customers. And I remember I hired this lady, I think it was 2018, and we had something go wrong. And she's like, so what do I tell the customer? I'm like, the truth. She's like, the truth. I'm like, it's our name. We have
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't happen that often in the industry.
Question:
Unfortunately.
how many like expedited, I guess, drivers do you guys work with? Like right now as a Candor, like how many, I guess, expedited people do you guys have under you, or that you guys work with or set up with?
Well, you always have your like mains, right? So it's always the 80-20 rule.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we have some companies that we work with every single day, and we're doing
Mhm.
some expedited, even local work. But I think we have around, and I'm guessing now because I've stopped looking at that. I'm guessing we have probably around 2,500 carriers that we work
Oh,
with.
wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
What
but a
are some
lot of
of
them
like,
are small, too.
yeah,
It could be two drivers that have a small fleet. We have one company we work with in Illinois that, has 3 trucks. And so what we try to do with these companies is get them more business. As you start developing those relationships, there's one gentleman all the time, and I'm like, hey, what are your growth plans? And how can I like help you obtain those? So again,
yeah.
it's really that 80-20 on who's getting the most of the work.
So in expedited world, is it more of, I guess, is there more owner operators, technically speaking, like they own the Sprinter or they own the box truck, or is it more like small fleets that kind of have a couple of trucks, like somebody that has a couple of
It's
trucks?
both. It's
Both.
both.
So
I
it's
mean,
kind of
there
like
are a lot
tractor.
of,
Yeah.
yeah, there are. I mean, there are a lot of the companies are small, but that's the same thing in the tractor trailer world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what it is. I think like I was reading a thing that I think it was like 95% of the semi trucks, or it was like a crazy high number. I don't know exactly, but it was like it was 5 or smaller fleets. So like 5 trucks or smaller. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty crazy, yeah.
But Nicole, I'm curious, like, do you also do other than expedited? Do you also do like just like regular brokerage?
Little bit. Only if a customer says, hey, I have this load, can you also take
Of
it?
course. Got it.
But it's relatively small in that pool. Now, when we
Okay.
say beyond expedite, we are servicing like the retail and the medical device industries. We do some aerospace, some automotive, and a lot of white glove work. So that has really, in the past 2 years, has really been a huge growth spot for us. We're doing some B2C now. So we're doing some local routes. But what I like to say is when you say regular freight, it's still tailored equipment. So I like to call it the non-expedite expedite, because it's still something that's going in a straight truck and maybe has an inside delivery. We're doing a lot of line haul now with high touch, so we can have 2 men, 6 men going in to make a delivery with a genie lift and going up to the 5th floor and light install. So we're doing a lot of that now. So I would classify that as the non-expedited side of things, but it's still very high touch and sensitive.
Sure.
So can you explain a little bit what like white glove is? Like the people,
Yeah.
I don't really understand.
I was
I've
going to
heard
ask
of
the
it
same
before,
question.
Yeah.
I know that's like such a funny word because I feel like you hear it all the time now, right? This lingo.
Do they actually
of
have to
white
wear
glove.
white gloves, or can you wear orange?
They should, right? They should. So white glove is really anything that has a touch to it. So it could be something, like I said, as simple as you need a lift gate and a pallet jack, and you're just bringing it into a facility. We've done things that go inside of a dental office, that chair is going to go inside that actual office. We uncrate it, we put it in the room, we don't plug it in, we leave it. So it's room of choice, taking all that, debris with you, mall deliveries where you have to like lay masonite, or hotel deliveries, really anything that's specialized that needs that touch, to make the pickup or the delivery happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So there's exclusive white glove and non-exclusive white glove too. So we have some clients that just want a hot shot, and then we may have drivers meet and handle some of that white glove work. Or we have a non-exclusive, which is more of a line haul scenario. And then we have first and final mile logistics, and then sometimes reverse logistics in it, to get materials out, like say computers that need to come out of a facility. They're sensitive. There's, important information on there. Or we do a lot of server racks. So those things, loaded server rack could be a couple $1 million. So it's really making sure that, the freight is secure. It's sometimes has escorts because it's, very, very high value. So again, when I keep saying sensitive, now I think you guys are starting to see like the picture of it.
Yeah.
So I always just come out and say expedite, but it's really beyond that.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and it seems way more complicated than just hauling driving.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning with the hotshot world, it was like pretty cut and dry. And as we've started to grow, I mean, I've really been trying to like hand select people that just have true freight knowledge. So it's like we sit down and we have routing discussions on different things. How would this go? How can the customer execute this? So it's more of a strategic approach with some of the logistics than, hey, just pick up and go nowadays. With what we're touching. Yeah.
And Nicole, with Candor being a woman-owned certified business, I'm curious first to like kind of hear from you if you've experienced any difficulties due to being in a male-dominated industry. Have you faced some setbacks because of that? And also, like, what are like the kind of, I guess, the pros that you've seen coming in and having a woman-owned business in the industry?
Sure. So I'm sure there are. It's one of those things that you don't know, right? They happen if they happen, they don't if they don't. There's some opportunities I'm sure I haven't won because I'm a female. I know I've definitely sat down in corporate offices and freight quizzed to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. But being in this since 2000, what I've really seen is just an uptick. There was one point in time I would go to conference as a sales rep, and I would see like 5 or 6 women in a room of 900. And now I went to, say, a food shippers this last year in February, and it was insanely different. It's more of a 35% mix of women to men. So it's just one of those things that we keep seeing, that the gender evolution is happening. I'm obviously a big proponent because I do have a podcast myself. It's called LLC, Ladies Leadership Coalition. And it's really just talking through this with women, like, what are some of these steps that they can take to continually improve themselves and, be audacious and ask for those roles and learn more about logistics in general, because it's an awesome space for everybody. I was telling someone the other day, I'm like, there's not one role. Like if you're an analytical person, you could be in logistics. If you're a person that, is not really good with communication, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. So supply chain has a spot for really everybody. So it's there. I know it's there. The bias. I mean, I think it just depends on the situation. Where I've always worked, I've never had that. So we keep talking about K&L, and when I worked there, the owner, he became like a dad to me. We were building this business together, and there was never really anything I had to look at myself and go, should I really be here? Because that support was always there. And that's one of the things I always encourage people. I have a lady who works for me right now, and she would tell me stories about where she would work, and they would say, hey, you're a female, you can't be a project manager. And I was like, why did you work there?
Yeah.
So I think that's the concept that a lot of people in general, doesn't have to be based upon your gender, but should take into account. If you don't like it, don't stay there. Go find something else that really fits what you are and your values and what you're trying to accomplish in your life. And I think from myself, having that mindset has really helped me. But obviously starting out in this industry when freight wasn't cool. So I say I was in freight when freight wasn't so cool. It's really helped me. Like I've always been around men. And so that has, I've adapted. I was 18, I never felt like an outsider because I didn't even have that mindset. It's like almost being a baby in a spot. You just know what you know. Yeah. So I never had any big issues. Now, if I come across some crazy things, of course, but I don't think that's freight or male dominated industries. I think that's just people who need to get punched in the face in general.
Yeah. No, and you said it right. It also depends even who you have, like who surrounds you or who you're working with, because there's some people that are just always negative and always will find a way. But then if people are there to encourage you, and it doesn't matter like what you are, who you are, you just got to grow together and make it happen, So that's how I see it. But
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I'm curious, Nicole, from like a business aspect, being woman-owned certified, I know there's like some benefits to it from like potentially getting some government contracts. Have you had the ability to get some government contracts or been able to get through the door because of that? From that
we
side?
Just started. So I'm sorry if you hear a little bit in the background. We just started in 2020 being a certified V-Bank business. So there's definitely pros and cons to it, right? The cons are you are typically talking to a procurement person and the supplier diversity side of things that they're procuring, say, maintenance companies, people who will come paint their locations, and then transportation. So you're trying to really sell yourself as a solid entity to someone who doesn't really deal in the day-to-day freight side of things. And then after that, you then have to go through and then pitch yourself, if you get connected truly to the main procurement people who are actually sourcing logistics providers. I think it really depends on the corporate push towards that. It all starts at the top of an organization. Unfortunately, we see some big companies that claim that they are doing that. But when you really get to the brass tacks of it, it's not really true. I guess you could say it's kind of I hate to say this, but it's like a front, in some things. But then there's some companies, we work with Target Corporation, wonderful company. I call Target School. And so they really walked us through every single element of their supply chain and tried to let you pitch and come in there to say, okay, what is it that you can really bring a value to Target? So never have had something that says, hey, you're a WeBank, we got you. Come over here. Here's some freight. You can do whatever. Yeah. You still work, if not just as hard, if not harder, to break those barriers. And then this last year, we renewed in March. So we just became government certified through sam.gov. So we haven't even explored that side of things yet.
I'm just curious, like if there's any women listeners like what the process looks like, because I know it's not easy to also become certified. Could you kind of talk us through like the process of becoming a woman-owned certified business?
Yeah, and it's a really cool thing. If you are trying to become certified, it's going to actually make your business more legitimate. And the reason why I say that, it makes you do corporate meetings with yourself, document what your plans are. I remember when I had to do it, it was the first time I've ever made a resume because I've never needed one. So I had to make a resume. I like literally had to document and put different things into place that I would not have had if I had not become certified. That people see them as formalities, but if you really do utilize some of these business tools and understand where your company's headed, it does make a huge difference. So I think in the first initial setup, I think there were 60 different documents or things that I needed to complete. Yeah. And there's a site visit where they come and they talk to you and they want to understand, really your involvement with the business. Because there are a lot of people that might utilize a woman as a front or, the wrongdoings of it. So they really do the work to like make sure that it really is female owned and operated. And then again, it's like anything, guys, like it's how you utilize your resources. So there's a WeBank conference, there's local chapters that you can go to and have your meetings and networking. And these WeBank conferences, the big ones, it's like you're sitting down with a lot of big companies pitching who you are. And again, it's that due diligence, that follow up, that keep knocking on the door and telling your story. But it's more of who else is there. There's other companies like myself. If I met somebody that was, say, doing a marketing company, I might be able to talk to them and give them business. So it's all about networking, as you guys know. It's only as good as how much you put into it. But there's some people that, that's the bulk of their business. For us, I think we have, I'm gonna say like 3 customers that are more so from those introductions and that actual starting of it. But again, it's not our main focus. It's like I've been in logistics forever. And so we're talking to companies, and if it's a benefit and helps them, awesome. But if we can really focus in on the companies that are seeking those solutions, we're going to pitch it as well. So it's worth it. But again, it's the networking spot. You got to put yourself out there.
And then to be basically like woman, I guess, owned, there's a certain percentage, right? So say if there's a partnership, like I'm in a partnership and then the other person is a woman, she has to have more percentage than I do, right?
51. She has to be, it can be like a group of women. So say you had even 2 other women, their combined has to be 51% women owned.
Okay.
In the shares. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Nicole, I'm just curious, is there like a specific reason why you decided to do Expedite?
Yeah, I mean, it's the chaos. I like I said, from when I was even younger, I loved that chaos. I loved helping people. And then I loved establishing relationships with people. So you have to be able to have a solid, trusted relationship for someone to come to you. So for a good example, one of my clients with the UPS potential strike, they were going, hey, if this happens, we're going to be in a bad spot. What do we do? And so I'm like, hey, send me some data. Let's take a look at that. And so we looked at different things that they're doing within their supply chain, where I went to their corporate group to say, hey, we can do this, 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 and this. And so that is the coolest stuff to me. I think people think it's like this, you're going to make a ton of money side of things. No, it balances out, right? So some of these brokerages go home at 5 p.m. I am staffed Saturday, Sunday. I have people, like multiple people staffed overnight. You're quoting a lot more, because a lot of people go, hey, I want to see what's my expedited and what's my LTL. So, we have a lot more staff than what the general truckload brokerage has. But I think it's more of the solution side of things that make it fun for me. I've sold truckload, I built a fleet. I've got to do all those different things. And this has always been my favorite because it's just,
So
I
you
love
still
getting
like
that
the
phone call like, hey,
you still like
UPS
the
is going on
chaos after
strike. What can you
20
do?
years, huh? Like
Huh?
being like you still like the chaos after the 20 years. You still like enjoy it and stuff.
I
Like
do. And I,
do you get
go
burnt
ahead.
out after a while or not really? Or you kind of get almost immune to certain stuff where it's like, something goes wrong. You're like, it is what it is.
It's a combo. So
Yeah.
now that my business has grown more than, I guess, like how I'm able to go on vacation and it's running without me, some of the things I miss. So I don't get to like move freight anymore. And that's like who I was, right?
Yeah.
Just like 5 years ago, I was still
Mhm.
moving freight. And so I miss that. I really do miss that side. So now my job is more of like strategy and trying to come
Yeah.
up with where we're going next. We have some really cool refrigerated things for food and pharma coming out with a company that we've been working with, a partner from Europe. So it's more of these like strategic things that I get to do and hopefully like maybe change the way things are moving in our industry. But the day to day, I don't get to really do it. And burnout, yes. I don't think there's a human that doesn't approach that. And I've come up with my every 5 years is when I go, okay, I'm good. I need a break. And I'm there right now. I'm on my 6th year. And so what I've done at our company is we give a sabbatical every 7 years to our people. So you get a month off plus your vacation because it's just this industry,
Yeah.
this industry it's tough and it's a grind.
Definitely
And
tough.
like what you guys
Yeah.
said in the beginning, right? It's you never stop working. And that's me too. So I'm always working, whether it's catching up on stuff or, doing something, documenting something. It's a
Responding
thing.
to emails. Yeah. How do you
Commission structures. I mean, now it's just different. It's not the fun, cool stuff of
Mhm.
yeah.
moving the freight. Now it's more of the strategic stuff.
Sure.
How do you go about finding people, for example, like that are motivated? You're saying you're like staffed on Saturdays, Sundays, whatever, afternoons. How do you go about finding the right people? Because for me, it seems like everybody, after this whole pandemic thing, I feel like everybody
Yeah.
just kind of got lazy. I feel like people don't want to work. I feel like everybody just
I
wants to
know.
chill.
It's
And I feel,
hard.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really hard to find the right people, but I think again, it's kind of like what we said was setting the expectations, even with the driver, right?
yeah,
Is really, really telling people what our culture is like. So we have a great culture. We have great people. A lot of them, they've been hand selected by me. So some of them I've worked with. 4 of the people have been my customers for 15 years plus.
oh wow,
So those are some of the leaders in our organization. I knew their work ethic. I knew that they would challenge me if, say, I was trying to get detention that wasn't unfair or something. They really believed in their company. And those were the type of people that I wanted on my team. The people who said, hey, charge me more. I'm like, I would never hire you. Right. I
yeah,
want somebody that's very company centric, somebody who has the customer's best intentions, like to handle that. But it's
yeah,
really hard to find that. I mean, I don't want to say we go through people a lot, but we'll see how a person is within, the 30-day mark and go, hey, we really need for you to be like this, have this initiative because
yeah,
it's a grind, and it's tough. And we have a lot of remote people too. So we're based in Dallas and we have people in Chicago, I think we're in 7 states, and
oh,
then
wow.
we do some near shore too. So keeping people included when they're sitting in North Carolina or Michigan or Indiana got to be
Yeah,
a challenge. But we also have an awesome leader on that spot too. So we have this lady, she's kind of over HR, but she does a lot of just inclusion type things. So today I read an email, I guess it's National Lottery Day.
oh
And
wow,
she's sending out lottery tickets to people so we can all get on teams and scratch and so it's doing those types of things, but then shout outs, call outs, we have a program called Badass. And what that is going off of our core values. And so whenever someone does something, our teammates recognize each other. And so these badasses come out and then they get really money towards it's like a savings account, and then they can buy trips. They can do different things with it. And so with that strong culture, it's funny because our teammates want people who have initiative too. So when they notice something,
right,
they're going, hey, this might not be a fit for us, or talk to the teammate and go, hey, this is how we operate over here. And so that strong, dynamic of people is really what helps lift people. And we've had some people come in that I was like, I don't think this is going to work. And then once they know their goal set and they know what they're supposed to be doing with that clarity, then they soar. And I'm like, that makes me the happiest when I see someone, that maybe worked at a big brokerage, and it's just a very different culture than coming to a bust your ass expedite company. And some of them have just soared, and it's really cool.
Oh, Nicole, where'd you learn these strategies to implement the culture kind of strategies, or to incentivize employees with the savings account and the badass? Where did you learn that? Did a consulting firm come in, or did you read a book? How did you do that?
No, I did it at K&L too. So we had a extra mile program there, and we had these casino chips, but everyone was in office there. So we had these casino chips, and then you would give someone a casino chip, and then every quarter we would take all the casino. So they'd be stacks on everyone's desk. So we would take those casino chips, and I bought a roulette table, and then we had all these prizes, and people would get to come and gamble their money, and the owner got to be the roulette dealer.
That's awesome.
So it's just one of those things that I always like to have fun, because we all work so hard, right? We all do what we do. We have to have fun. And so that work hard, play hard mindset does have to be there. And so I just know for me, that's something that I like, to get recognized. It's one of my motivators, is to have a thank you from somebody, or know that you're doing something. And so I just want that to be a part of whatever company I've been a part of. And so I saw it explode at K&L when I developed this program. And I was like, I want to do something different, because we would just keep going, hey, you're a badass, you're a badass, you're a bad. And so I was like, that needs to be it. That's our program.
I like it.
And so now we have employee of the quarter and then employee of the year, and our team gets involved. So it isn't just one person acknowledging. So say we have our 4 employees of the quarter, and then our team gets to say, hey, who really was the badass of the year? And they get $1,000 and, an award. And it's, to us, a really big recognition program to say thanks for busting your butt.
Sure. I like that. Incentivizing is so important. And then
Nicole, I have some questions about Expedited too. So what about the regulation side of it? How does that work with sprinter vans and box trucks? I've actually seen, I've seen some videos go viral recently about I think it was on TikTok or somewhere, that soon everyone that's driving these hot shots and everything, they're going to need a CDL. I don't know if it's true or not. Is there certain regulations with the DOT with
there is
stuff like that, or
there is? So in certain size straight trucks then become classified as DOT regulated. So it's 22 foot and beyond. So 22, 24, 26 box trucks are DOT regulated.
okay.
Same thing with teams, right? So in order to be considered a true team, you have to have sleeper berth, as we all know. And so you see a lot of these street trucks on the road that do not have sleeper berths, right? So it's really making sure that you're utilizing the right type of equipment to handle those types of hot shots. But cube trucks, small straights. So we have, 18, 16, 12 feet straight trucks on the road. Those are non-DOT regulated. Typically they're not dock high either. So anything that's not dock high at this point in time is not DOT regulated.
So they could just pick up a load from California and send it to New Jersey with a strong solo Sergey nonstop, right? Without it, legally.
Yeah. It would be like you going, hey, I want to take my family across country and we have a mission to get there. It's hard to really stop somebody from doing that. But a lot of sprinter van drivers, they are taking breaks. So this isn't like, I don't want to, paint this picture that everything is the complete wild west,
Yeah.
A lot of these guys actually have these cots in their sprinter vans. So once they deliver, they'll sleep in the sprinter.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They'll get their rest in there.
But
yeah, no, that is.
I have a friend out of North
True.
Carolina that does expedited stuff, and I've seen one of his sprinters, and they actually have like a spot where they can just go and crash and sleep in there. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah,
it is. It is.
If our companies fall apart, Bob, we'll just do that. I think that's
just
just be the drivers.
Yeah, we'll just
be a strong solo Sergey driver on a sprinter van.
California to New Jersey in 2 days.
But I think with with expedited stuff, I think there's a lot of like go, and then just wait a day or two until you get the next good load. Is that kind of true, or I don't know if that's a true thing, or is it more? Consistent, like every day, just every day.
Well, we don't. Okay, so our business is probably 20% contracted, meaning that we're doing the expedite. And then the other 80%, we are really building our loads as the day or the next 2 days come about. So it's hard to have just this mindset that you're going to do number X, when you're trying to run a business. Yeah. Especially in the beginning, because you're quoting, and especially right now, it's very, very competitive out there. And Expedite is the first spot to see, right, what's going on in the industry, because if there's enough tractor trailers and, there's enough LTL trailers moving around, and the capacity is good, and, maybe freight demand is down, they're going to take those extra methods to save cost, or they're going to not need, like their trailer driver did not show up. Right. So it does hit the expedited market first, very, very first. So right now, the grind is there for our company, and I'm sure the grind is there for everybody right now. But when we were working these past 2 years, it was definitely easier. But right now, we're still at peak revenues because that grind of our team and these other solutions too have really, really helped. But you're pretty much walking in with, all right, I gotta go get some freight. So the quoting is significantly different. You could be quoting 200-300 shipments a day.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
And where do you quote this stuff? Basically, where you have customers, they give you a portal login, and you could just go and quote on their.
Just like you, it all depends. You got some that want to shoot you a text message. You got some that say portal. You have some that you quote, they never answer your phone call. It's the same world as what you guys experience, right? It's just time sensitive, smaller.
Nicole, I'm curious, like for year-over-year growth. When you started in 2017, I could imagine that, as always, first year, a couple of years is pretty tough for a small business owner. Can you kind of take us through like the last, since the beginning, and kind of tell us how the growth happened? I guess there's a big growth in 2020 because of the pandemic, but can you just explain kind of like how it all began, how the growth looked like till what it is now?
Well, that's where that strategic part comes in. So when I first started the company, even when I was working elsewhere, we always just kind of that grit, right? We always just kind of worked a little bit harder, added more people to the team. And that didn't change when I became a company owner. So I didn't really understand true strategic planning when I started. So I remember going to the team in 2018, like, hey, if we could just do 10% more, that would be awesome, right? But there was no roadmap on how to get there. There was no like, hey, this is how many customers we need to be talking to. We want to be in these verticals. We want to handle these types of shipments. And so it was just kind of, we kind of just hung out in a number. I think in our first year, we did like 2 million in revenue. And then we, kind of came up to this 4 or 5 spot, and then we stayed there. And it was like, I didn't know what else to do. So then the pandemic had started, and something hit me because I'd been so in the business. Like I said, I'd have a customer call me at 11 p.m. I'd get on, I'd move freight. I would wait till the freight's picked up. It's 2:30 in the morning. I go to sleep, wake up 7 a.m. I'm moving freight again. So it hit me. I'm like, this business is never going to grow if I stay in it and not on it. And so I ended up talking to my number two at the time and going, we have to back out. We have to literally entrust our people to do this. We have to be true leaders. And so uncomfortable at first, right? Like letting our people make the business happen and just be the guidance. But then it was more of, how do we do this? What is it that we need to do? And so that's really where that growth came. It became more of a strategic spot. So in 2020, I know the pandemic started. We had 5 weeks where we had not a single load. Everything shut down. And then we started doing the respirators going into New York. We started doing hand sanitizer. All of our normal freight was gone. I mean, like I said, we're the first to feel it. Mm-hmm. And so we then had to like shift on what we were doing and really, get out there and build out a different customer base. And it was great, during that, but I learned a lot. And that's when I stepped into really this LinkedIn side of things, not just to focus on who I am and my brand. I got a ton of mentors during that time of when I was in an office. I reached out to people and met a lot of companies that had already gone through where I was sitting. And so, I was talking to huge company CEOs, people who were similar. And then I kind of picked out what my method would be to go after this growth plan. I joined a CEO group. It's called Vistage, where they act as my board almost. And, we meet every month and you tell them what's going on. So then we literally jumped from this $4 million to 11.5 within a year of not working in the business, but working on it and changing our marketing technique and trying to tell the story of who we are. Because that word that you hear, expedite, it's usually labeled as like, ooh, that means someone messed up, or that's not good, or that's expensive. And so we were trying to convey that true value that the company brought, added on these divisions. And so we just keep having, the double type of growth numbers every year, but it's because now it's so strategic on how we want to approach things. And then obviously, AI and trying to build our own efficiencies is very important too. So we've started building an application to do that, to really help with some of our quoting, even have a portal for some of our trusted carriers, and then more of the carrier sales concept. So we have great companies that work with us. And like I said, going to our manufacturing customers now and going, hey, we have this, we've seen that you're doing X, we can help you with Y, and trying to help some of those fleets grow. But being definitely strategic on it. Like I said, we're stepping into a refrigerated space. Refrigerated is something I love. It's fun. It's another puzzle thing. And so it's just approaching the business that way and adding on these additional services, like we call it the multimodal side of things, where, it's still sensitive, but it's not expedite, but it needs the white glove. And so we're just listening to our customers, we're listening to them, we're seeing what's going on, and, e-commerce is booming. And so it's like, how do you facilitate that? How do you become technology based, but human based as well, having a ratio? And so it's really having that mindset to like run that way and then really do what we say we do. So I think a lot of that growth has been because we come through and it's really a no nonsense. So you get this referral network too when you do a good job.
Yeah. It's funny when you said like that you're getting into refrigerated and all this like complicated stuff. It reminded me of that meme, where it's like, we don't want peace, we want violence. That's literally what it reminded me of, because I feel like it's not peaceful to be in that business that you're in. It's something is going wrong,
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I see a lot of sales reps like step into the side and they think it's going to be easy. It's not, right? It's not easy to get someone to trust you with a sensitive shipment when they just learned your
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things too, where I'm really focused on staying in our niche. And so, it's,
Definitely
I
not
like
for
the
people that
chaos.
have,
I
like,
like the cool stuff.
definitely not for people that have like thin skin or that don't really, want to deal with certain problems, I guess, and certain things. We're coming up to a close. I just had another question. What are some of, like, I guess, the hottest and the deadly or the deadest areas for expedited stuff, like in the country and USA? Like, what's the couple of hot cities that to get out of?
It's literally the same as you see in the truckload market.
So it's kind of all the time too.
It
Okay.
is. I mean, and it's funny to think too, some of those remote areas. So like Idaho and South Dakota, I mean, there's not a lot of equipment there. So
Yeah.
we'll get even local runs to help with those types of areas because the equipment pool is not that big wanting to go in or out of there. But it's literally the same as what you see. It trends. I mean, it's weird too, because I follow Dean Groke from DAT, right? He's a good friend of mine. He'll tell me different things, and I'm like, man, we've seen this influx in Atlanta, or all of a sudden someone will be behind on something in an area and suck up all the trucks in Indiana. So I don't really think there's a yay or nay in the country for it.
That's very
I see.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Real quick,
This was
Nicole.
great.
Yeah, this was great. I'm just curious, like, I saw in the report that the expedited transportation expenditure will like double. I think like the numbers were doubling within the next 10 years or so. Those numbers might be wrong, but if you could elaborate on that real quickly and just kind of tell us how like the future of expedited transport in the US in terms of like you did say e-commerce is booming. Can you just kind of tell us like a little bit what you see happening in expedited transport?
Sure. I think it's what we're all seeing, like now when we order our coffee, right? We want customized solutions. I mean, with everything we're doing, we want to have it now and we want it to be customized. And so, and this is my opinion, when it comes to it, like I said, the non-expedite, where people can customize when materials are getting there. They're more time definite, not time specific per se. But people are wanting their materials faster. And the same thing goes with inventories, right? We keep learning these lessons that you have to be able to manage your inventory properly. And so now instead of this across country world that we're going to have a lot of regionalized distribution movements. I mean, it makes sense for a lot of these major manufacturers to have things planted, and again, customizing warehouse solutions and customizing co-sharing spaces. I mean, as technology keeps moving us forward, we're going to be able to customize a lot of things. And so I think that's where we'll see that expansion, we'll see that growth, is that customization that comes with smaller equipment, dabbling into larger equipment, whatever it is, whether it's air freight, or even just bringing materials inside of a store. We're all looking for it just to be handled and done.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to keep seeing this increase of that, where people they don't want to work anymore. Bring it to my back door, bring it to my front door. I'm not going there. Are you crazy? I don't like people.
They don't want to work anymore, but we got to work. We got to put the hustle in, right?
A lot of opportunities for us.
Right.
Nicole, do you feel any of the any effects of Prime Day? Because I know Prime Day was just a big deal for the last 2 days. Like, will you feel any of that, like in terms of like more shipments?
So. I don't think so. It kind of feels normal for us, but I think if UPS definitely goes on strike, we'll all feel it. So it's one of those times where I'm like, come on,
do something. That meme where it's like, collapse, do something.
Right.
Poking the housing market or whatever. Well, this was great,
what do you
Nicole.
guys think is going to happen if that does and goes on strike? I mean, think about what UPS does for the country.
Yeah, and Yellow might go bankrupt. So it's two companies that are dealing with it. So
I did not read that. I have to look into that. I did not know that.
But they just got some more money though.
Yeah,
Did you
they
do
got
that?
some more
Yeah.
money. Yeah, they bought some time. They bought some time. That's what they did. But
Yeah.
they're like on the brink of bankruptcy, and so
Honestly,
they're
dude, every time I see their trucks on the road, their trucks look like they're about to fall apart. So
I know.
I don't know
They
how they're
do.
still.
They really do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm
um,
glad you guys had me on. I really appreciated it.
No,
And if there's
this
ever any questions for your audience, like never hesitate to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. You could shoot me a direct message or you can shoot me an email. It's just nglenn at Candor EXP. Love to help out anybody who has questions with this crazy industry we have going
Yeah.
on, right?
awesome.
I just need to somehow get into like your circle of mentors or something and get mentored by you guys because you guys seem way more motivated than I am. I feel like I get burnt out. I just got motivated by you just speaking now,
Yeah,
so
that
that's
was great.
Nah, yeah.
Stay in touch. I loved being on this. Thank you guys.
We'll do. All right. Take
Enjoy your
care,
vacation, Nicole. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Freight Caviar Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, or if you didn't, leave a review. Let me know what you think. I appreciate any feedback. If you'd like to have more Freight Caviar content, go to freightcaviar.com and subscribe to my email newsletter.